All right, so it is officially day 2. Ate well, slept well, found some good Thai food at Pacific Thai. Grabbed a beer at the Red Room. Definitely recommend.
Yeah.
It had nobody there because we got like a beer and we're trying to be done by like 7 p.m. But besides that, we stayed at the Best Western here in Santa Cruz. It's been really nice. Definitely was a nicer step up than we originally planned. But for today, in today's video, we were looking at the stats, and because we got here yesterday at 3 p.m., we figured we might just, send that shit priority mail and try to just go for the century today. So it's 104 miles.
Yep.
We're expecting about 3,500-ish feet of climbing. And since yesterday's stats were 84 miles and 5,400 feet of climbing, we assume with the extra mileage but the less amount of climbing, we should be taking the same amount of time for today to do a century. So we're going to try to make it all the way to King City. So this may be a 7-part series, or it might be a 8-part series. So you're going to find out later how we do.
If we don't make it, there's still potential stops along the way.
Right, they're just not as nice. So we're going to push past, because basically if you only go to Marina or Salinas like we kind of expected.
It's like 30 miles.
Yeah, 30, 40 miles, because we pushed an extra 13 to get to Santa Cruz yesterday. So instead of basically having nothing to do and probably taking like a 2 or 3 hour ride, we're going to just try to push it the whole way. The benefit of us making it there is that'll push us ahead a day, because Tuesday is, and it's Sunday right now, Tuesday is the rainiest day, or it's supposed to be raining the longest period of the day. So this will allow us to either take a full rest day if we want in Paso Robles, or we can at least push through the section that we think will be the worst with the rain. So if we can move that up a day, it'll be more convenient. So we're going to make that decision later, and you're going to come in with. So let's get some coffee and ride.
Let's get some food.
All right, so we're an hour and 4 minutes in. We've only done 12.2 miles, but about 850 feet of climbing. So when you first start off for the day, it's very, very pretty as you've seen, but it's a lot of rollers and you can't really get any consistency because the hills are so spread out, you lose any momentum you really get. So it is a little taxing and a little bit of a difficult start after yesterday's ride with all the climbing we did. But gonna put on some jams and keep going and make it all the way to Marina before we change route a little bit. So if you wanna see what the new route is, I'll put it in the description below. We are changing it from the AIDS Life Cycle route, taking basically River Road as a straight shot right to King City. We are almost 3 hours in and about 35 miles. We were stopping at a Burger King for a Coke and some fries. So now we are modifying the route that we initially said again in the route building video. So we're basically gonna take River Road, straight shot in. We're gonna basically take a quick fill up on water and a few other things because it looks like about a 15 to 20 mile stint with nothing. There's gonna be one gas station and then there's gonna be another stint of 30 miles of nothing before we get to King City. So right now we're tracking for about, I'd assume 7-hour ride time. So we'll see how that ends up. All right, so we are three and a half hours in, mile 48 and a half. We stopped at the Exxon, get some waters and another Coke. And this road is called Reservation Road at first, and then it's River Road. So if you're a little bit confused from the last clip, if you're looking at it on the map, that's why. But this is definitely a worthy rest stop before, like I said, about another 30 or so miles. But I think this is killer and a lot better option, a lot faster than what
they originally routed for AIDS life cycle. There's a few moments where there's a mile or so that the shoulder's really narrow. Besides that, it's beautiful wide country roads, and our average speed is picked up quite a bit from what we'd assume it would be on the other route. Definitely highly recommend this. Alright, so hopefully you can hear this with all the wind going on. We're at mile 74.6. You're going to do this little kind of gravel offshoot road back to, I believe it's still River Road. G27. Or G27 is what it has on the map. So mile 74.6, we are 5 hours and 3 minutes in, 3,500 feet of climbing. We have plenty of supplies to make it the rest of the way if we find nothing else. But this is a little offshoot that you're going to miss if you don't really look for it. All right, so we are at mile 81.2. This is the first time we've honestly seen any kind of civilization minus some vineyards. So I guess you maybe could find water there if you ran out of supplies. But there's a Shell station. This is actually gonna turn into about a 94-mile day with the route that we took. Again, that'll be in the links below. But it's shaved off about 10 miles over what we expected. And we're at 3,600 feet of climbing. So we got about a 14-mile push into town, but that was definitely a long stretch that if you are not prepared for, if it was really, really hot, I would definitely have a third bottle at minimum. But luckily we had great weather. It's definitely chilly, but I'd rather have that than it being a scorching hot day. All right, well, mile 88, got a flat. Here. Oh man, it is flat. There it is. Okay. It's ugly.
That's it.
It's ugly.
Wow. All right. Well, we made it.
Barely.
96 miles, 3,600 feet of climbing. Yeah, there were some rough parts. Overall, I think the route that we did compared, again, I've said this probably 3 times in this video, I think is definitely worth doing, but you have to be very well prepared at that Exxon. Make sure to fill up, stock up on everything. It gets a little dicey because the road isn't the best surface. You're exposed the entire time, so you're literally in direct sunlight. There's very little shade unless you literally pull over. So it's very easy to overheat if it is warmer. Coming into King City, we're staying at the Best Western, or it's honestly, this town is, no offense to any King City people who live in King City, but there's just not a lot to do. There's not a lot to eat. It's gonna be fast food only. There's a Safeway we're gonna go to, but it is limited on stuff. So Santa Cruz, there's a lot of different variety of restaurants and things. So keep that in mind when you're coming to King City. There's just not a lot to do. If you get here early, gonna have a lot of free time. We're gonna have a second dinner. We've already eaten before we shot this because we were just barely hanging on. And tomorrow is going to be King City to Paso Robles. That's 65 miles and about 2,500 feet of climbing. So thankfully it's a little bit easier. And the only caveat to that is it does have a 40-mile section of basically nothing. There is one pit stop in the middle, about 30 miles or so in from here. So we're going to prep tonight, make sure we have plenty of water and snacks on the bikes before heading out because there's really nothing for that. But Mario did great with the speaker, and basically we had to use Google. Luckily we had signal for most of it so we could map ourselves here. So again,
you can download our route instead of having to do that. There is a lot of sections with no service, so that's something to keep in mind. I have Verizon, you have T-Mobile, and usually one of us kind of worked enough to have like a bar, but that's going to be something that, you know, having something preloaded is definitely the go-to, because if I had the same service, we might have been stuck or just had to like do the finger cross thing and hope for the best.
Yes,
So
especially like on that offshoot when we had to take like a dirt road.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's definitely stuff you need a reference. So if you do this, do it in a group so that hopefully somebody's got signal. Besides that,
the winds literally were on our side. It was beautiful. We were
Yeah.
riding like along the mountain, really close to it. So the wind was just coming in, blowing us from the back. Oh, so nice.
yeah, I think we had tailwind like 85% of the ride pretty much today. So it definitely did help. It's still a tough ride, but it does make it easier. There were sections where we were doing 100 to 120 watts, doing an easy 23 to 25 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So that does help. And as you saw, I did get a flat on the highway. I don't know how much we got because the member card filled up, of course, when that happened. But I shot a quick little shot of, we dyno plugged it. It held. It's seeming to hold right now. I'm going to put some dabs of super glue around the plug, but it seems to be sealed. But that is definitely something that there was a lot of debris on the side of the road. And even with brand new puncture-resistant casings, that thing would have punctured any kind of tire. It was super sharp. And it's just something you got to be mindful of. Luckily, we were making really good time, and it was only about 4 o'clock in the afternoon by the time that happened. So we still got in about 4:15-ish to our hotel. So not too late. We didn't have to do that flat change in the dark. So make sure you prep and get out early enough in the day. And that's it. So hopefully you're liking this series. Make sure to turn notifications on so you can see that when it comes out, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links in the description below, as well as a link to my Spreadshirt and my Pateron. And lastly, thanks for watching this episode of Locked In.
Let's get locked into